Does TRT cause hair loss? Now, this is a question I get all the time, and I actually find the answer to be quite interesting. TRT and testosterone in general does not cause hair loss, at least not directly. And with that said, higher levels of testosterone, whether testosterone replacement therapy or natural testosterone, can accelerate male pattern hair loss in some men. The testosterone in our bodies gets converted into another hormone called dihydrotestosterone, or DHT, by an enzyme known as 5-alpha reductase. Now, like testosterone, DHT is also an androgenic steroid and a hormone, but it's actually more potent than testosterone and has a higher affinity for androgenic receptors. Now, it's for this reason that's thought to be that DHT and not testosterone is actually what's responsible for androgenic hair loss or male pattern baldness. Now, in general, the hormones themselves don't do anything until they bind to their receptors. We have androgenic receptors throughout our body, and when these receptors bind their hormone, that's when the change or the action takes place. What's interesting is that DHT actually stimulates terminal hair growth, so think beard or eczema. However, on the scalp, it suppresses hair growth if the individual has a genetic predisposition. We all have a different level of sensitivity on the receptor to the hormone, and we all have a different concentration of receptors in our scalp. This is why some men can have very high levels of testosterone but still have a full head of hair, and others will experience accelerated hair loss. How do you know if you'll experience hair loss if you start TRT? Now, we all have a different threshold or level of circulating androgens, DHT, that our scalp can tolerate before we experience hair loss. Well, this threshold is going to be different on everyone, so it's unlikely that you'll actually know until you actually start going bald. With that said, men only have one androgen receptor gene, and it's on their X chromosome. We get our X chromosome from our mother's side of the family. So if the men on your mother's side of the family are all going bald, there's a good chance that you also have a lower threshold and that you will experience male pattern baldness that could be accelerated if you were to take testosterone replacement therapy. So to sum things up, no. TRT or testosterone does not directly cause men to go bald. However, testosterone converts into DHT. DHT can accelerate male pattern baldness in some men who are genetically predisposed to go bald. The higher your testosterone is, the more that's going to convert into DHT. And if you have a high sensitivity and a high concentration of DHT receptors in your scalp, then you will likely experience male pattern baldness. Now, there are certain drugs to counteract this. Most common, such as finasteride, is a 5-alpha reductase inhibitor. Now, if you remember, 5-alpha reductase is that enzyme that converts testosterone into DHT.